All right, guys. So in the last unit, we created colonies. We had colonizations. We had the British, we had the French, we had the Spanish, all come over here and start making colonies. We talked about the formation of the English colonies, the northern, middle, southern colonies, whether they were founded for religion or for money. Well, in this unit, what we're going to talk about is the actual setup of South Carolina as a colony. So first of all, originally in South Carolina, there wasn't a lot of need for slaves. We didn't have a successful staple crop. If you're not growing crops, you don't need people in the field making them. Instead, South Carolina made its profit off of 3 areas. First area, cattle ranching. Now, Africans did play a major role in that. Africans were actually the first cowboys. Way before white people did it, Africans did it. Second way they made money is trading with Native Americans. And the third way that money was made was naval stores. Now, naval stores are basically all the things that are in a tree that you can use to make a boat, whether it's the wood or the sap that can be changed into pitch and a tar to waterproof a boat. All right, so with all those waterways that Carolina has below the fall line, shipping is very possible in our state. South Carolina's climate provides a long growing season, and so it's perfect for growing and shipping goods, or for growing and shipping crops, specifically rice. The problem was we didn't know how to grow it. Remember, the main purpose of Carolina was to make money, and Carolinians were constantly looking for a staple crop. Staple crop, definition, vocabulary word. A staple crop is a crop that you grow in large quantities for the sole purpose of selling. A crop that you grow in large quantities for the sole purpose of selling. But it was near impossible to find a staple crop in Carolina that would fit what South Carolina has. And as a result, we rely on trade for a long period of time. So we're trading deerskins with the natives for a long period of time in Carolina. The trading with the natives ends, however, when the people of South Carolina extended their trade to the people of Barbados. And we did it by extending it not just with cattle and naval stores, but we began to sell the natives to them as slaves. The natives don't take that well, war breaks out, and the trade suffers as a result. Carolina's first cash crop was attained completely by accident. We didn't mean to get it. When we got the rice, it was an accident. A ship was coming from Madagascar. Madagascar, this island way over here off the coast of Africa. When the ship came here, it was damaged. It needed repairs. And the people of Charlestown took care of it. Because of that, people on board the ship gave some seed rice to the people of Carolina. It was planted, made a really good profit off of it, and it became known as Carolina gold rice. You can actually buy it again today. It had become extinct for a little bit, but now it's back. So this is what Carolina gold rice looks like. That's why they called it Carolina gold, was because of the color. With the discovery of Carolina gold, many plantations began springing up all along the coast of Carolina. The discovery of this staple crop started mass importation of slaves to Carolina to help with cultivation. The word cultivation is another vocabulary word. Cultivation simply means to grow. All right, it is the act of growing, the act of farming. The problem is growing rice is very hard work. Not only is it physically demanding as far as like back-breaking labor, you're also in the sun all day long. The water, it's like waist deep, so you're having to walk through it all day, and the water gets really hot. I'm talking like above 100 degrees temperature that you're walking in. And so it was really unhealthy. You got mosquitoes and snakes and alligators. Nobody's willing to do that work. No indentured servant certainly would ever come over here to do this work. So Carolinians go to people that already knew how to grow rice. In Africa, where the little cutout piece is, that's in Africa. So, real quick, horrible drawing of Africa. If I don't move the words. Let's see. Lead red. So, we're going to say that's a horrible drawing of what Africa looks like. This area right here is known as the Rice Coast. All right, so that's the Rice Coast. And what Carolinians did is they said, look, we'll just go there and get them. They know how to grow rice. Rice requires you flood the fields 3 times during a season. And because of that, they had to be built. The rice fields had to be built near the coast, within 16 miles of the coast, so that the tidal floods would flood them. There was only a 4-mile wide range that could be used. Had to be between 12 and 16 miles from the coast in order for it to work. If it was closer than 12 miles, it flooded with salt water. That kills the rice. If it's farther than 16 miles, it doesn't flood at all, so you can't plant the rice. This process right here was called tidal cultivation. Rice did have a problem though. Because it could only be grown in that 4-mile wide area, we really needed a better crop. And the woman that came up with that idea, or got us that crop, is Eliza Lucas Pinckney. It's that woman right there. Eliza moved to Carolina at the age of 15. When her father was named the lieutenant governor of Antigua, though, she stayed in South Carolina where her father left, and she took care of the family's plantations. In 1740, her father sent her some seeds from Antigua. These were indigo seeds. She plants them. Her first and second crops both die. And then her third crop is a success. It is a very painstaking, very hard process to get the indigo, or to get the dye out of the indigo. You have to use chemicals. These chemicals were known to cause cancer. So once again, no indentured servants are willing to do the labor. Slaves end up being brought over to do this. But it's basically what they do is they put the dye, or they soak the plant till the dye comes out of it, drain it from one vat to another, mix it with lye, and they end up with blocks that look like this, that have the indigo in it. And they put a chunk of it in the water, put the clothing in, mix it up, you get blue clothing. By 1747, South Carolina produced 70 tons of indigo dye, and the indigo produced in South Carolina was the best quality in the entire world. Because of these new crops, though, South Carolina grows richer than almost any of the other colonies, any place in the entire British Empire. So Britain loved Carolina because they had one purpose for us: make money, and we were doing it very well. So they start making laws to enforce mercantilism. The first law that they make is called the Act of Navigation and Trade. Well, you'll hear them called the Navigation Acts. There were many navigation acts, but the way the Navigation Act worked is we were only allowed to trade certain goods with Britain. We weren't allowed to trade with other countries a whole lot because Britain wanted to get all the goods that we made that they wanted, and we had to buy our stuff from only them, because then they'd make money off of us. We had to put products on British ships because Britain would make money off of it. And they had a list called the enumerated list. Enumerated means numbered or listed. So it's technically the listed list. These enumerated articles, these listed articles included rice, tobacco, and indigo. We couldn't sell them to anybody but Britain. And the practice of mercantilism is taken off. Britain's getting wealthy, but Carolina's getting wealthy too. You see, Britain doesn't want to crush Carolina because if they do, we'll rebel. So we're getting rich, Britain's getting rich, everybody's happy about it, and Carolina is growing. In fact, Britain begins to pay us subsidies to produce this rice and this indigo. Subsidy is a bonus to produce a certain product. So they're paying us extra money just to grow rice or just to grow indigo. 1663, another navigation act is passed saying that we have to send our goods through Britain first. And then in 1696, there's a third navigation act. So they just keep passing more and more laws to make sure that we are trading only with them. They want to control our trade. That's how mercantilism works. And even though Britain has all these mercantilistic laws, we're South Carolinians. We don't follow the laws. So Britain still doesn't want to take us off, though. So Britain uses a policy called salutary neglect. And that's your last vocabulary word for the day. Salutary neglect is this. It is ignoring someone doing something wrong because they are accomplishing what they are supposed to. Ignoring someone doing something wrong because they are accomplishing what they are supposed to. Best example of this, you guys see it all the time. You got a kid in class that's misbehaving. He's talking when they're not supposed to. She's talking when she's not supposed to. But they're a straight A student. Teacher will tell them to be quiet and move on. No punishment is giving out because they're doing what they're supposed to. They're making good grades. Same situation. You got a kid that's failing, never does their work. They talk, they get in trouble. Both kids were talking when they weren't supposed to, but one kid gets in trouble because they aren't accomplishing what they're supposed to. Salutary neglect is when you don't get punished because you did accomplish what you're supposed to. And that was what South Carolina was doing. We were making money. All right, so the next lesson that we're going to get to, we're going to start talking more and more about how slavery had an impact on the colony of South Carolina.